Ready?
Sure.
Just look at me. If there's anything that you want cut out, I'm gonna cut it out. I'm obviously not gonna post anything that you're not cool about. Okay. What happened to you? Exactly in a
In a roundabout way?
non-detailed, yeah.
I got lied to for almost 10 years.
Lied to about what?
The paternity of my kid.
Lied to from who?
His mother.
Do you think that was an intentional act?
Yes. She told me, for one, that, and then she also said that she would have taken it to the grave with her if I wouldn't have found out. And I also have a screenshot of the biological father texting that he had a suspicion that my son was his kid, like about after he was like 2 years old or something.
And he never said anything?
No.
What prevented you from asking for a paternity test?
Well, lots of things.
In the beginning.
Well, for one, I was married. And two, I was, pretty much made to feel like even if I were to question it, even if I was to question it, that's I don't know, it was just really bad to even question it.
Were you scared to question it?
Yeah, definitely.
Like from the lashback or from the...
Well, for lots of different reasons, but for mostly just, from lashback, I guess you could say that.
Do you know how many men are misled to be the wrong fathers in America every year?
30%.
How does that make you feel knowing that?
Well, what is that? What did we say that was the other day? Out of 300?
It's 3 out of 10.
That's 3 out of 10 men. That's a lot. So to me, that's just like, wow. That 30%, or what is that? Is it 30%?
Mm-hmm.
30% just kind of got to fucking grin and bear it.
Yeah. Are you still paying child support now?
Yes.
Why?
Because I don't want to lose any rights to my son.
And that's your only legal options?
Yeah. There's a lot of different things I can do if I were to take legal action, but everything comes down to losing my rights.
And you're scared about losing your rights because you want to keep being in your son's life.
Well, yeah. It's kind of too late for that,
Are you scared that she's going to hold that over your head and use him?
Yes.
As leverage?
Of course.
How does it feel to know that someone has that much power over you and over your destiny and your future, and they kind of used you as a puppet, pulled those strings?
Nobody's ever held that much control over my life. And it's a pretty helpless feeling because those who've known me my entire life have known it's kind of hard for me to keep my feet on the ground.
Do you think there should be legal ramifications for women who purposely do this?
Of course. Yes.
What do you think should happen?
Well, I don't think that the father should have to continue paying child support for one,
The non-biological
the
father.
non-biological father, and also number two, the non-biological father shouldn't have to give up any of his rights either. And number three, if the biological father wants to be part of the child's life at that point, the non-biological father who's been in the child's life should be part of that process of bringing that new person into this kid's life.
What about the whole situation makes you the most upset or confused?
The fact that we were talking about getting a divorce after my daughter was born, and then the the pregnancy was put on me, and I accepted it because I thought it was mine. But that doesn't change the fact that we were still talking about getting a divorce. You know what I mean? All there's, you know.
So it ultimately made you stay
Yeah,
in a toxic marriage.
it did, for sure. We were we were done.
How do you think that affected her children?
It it affected him greatly. I can still tell to this day that, you know, that ever since, you know, I kind of got rid of the house in Rock Falls, and I wasn't able to see those guys on as regular of a basis as I've been. The You could start to see distance, you know, and then after a while, that distance, your kids start to treat you different, you know.
How did having another child affect you? Like, were there any
Hold on.
struggles?
This isn't fucking easy.
I know. You ready?
Yeah.
Was there any struggles that went along with it?
The, this part's not easy to talk about. Because after he came along, everything started to spiral out of control and downhill fast, like super fast. But, and the reason I say it's so hard to talk about is because I don't, I want to be clear that I love him more than life itself.
You don't want him to feel responsible.
And I don't want him to feel responsible. I don't want him to feel lost or without purpose or without a home or a family or without direction. This is entirely way too fucking much to put on him. None of our kids fucking asked to be fucking put on this earth. We selfishly brought them here.
So what struggles were there?
My house was constantly going into foreclosure. In the springtime, I would let Nicor turn off my gas until until the fall time, and I just eat out and cook on the grill. And in the fall time, at my old job, I'd get a bonus, and with that bonus, I'd get my gas turned back on. And from that point on, I'd start that cycle all over again. That's the only time I would pay the bill, and then I would let it run its cycle, and they'd turn me off in the springtime, and I'd have to pay a big chunk to get it turned back on. And I did that for like fucking 11, 12 years.
How long did you work at the job you were working at?
22 years.
Were you the only income?
Yes.
So even after he came along and you were struggling, there was
I
no
was
help?
struggling before he came along, and after it started to spiral. Just because, bills, everything gets more expensive.
Right. It's another mouth to feed. How is it affecting you today? Like your mood and your mental health, your sleep and your trust in people?
My mood? I don't know. You'd have to ask the people who are around me the most every day.
Right. I can answer that question. Comes and goes.
And luckily, I have somebody that's pretty understanding. Although, with my job, there's times, because of what I do for a living, I spend a lot of time on the road by myself. And so, I have these moments sometimes where sometimes it can be debilitating. And you just gotta kind of stop and reset. So that's a tough challenge.
Has it affected your relationship with your son at all?
Yeah. There's a change. We used to be pretty tight, affectionate towards one another, and he's a bit distant now. He never comes out of his bedroom. And none of that really started until they started really introducing the biological father. And when all this started coming about, he just started to distance even more. And he was already kind of just a loner. It's kind of how me and him were and are. But, and as far as, I could go on about his behavior, but he's just like a normal average kid, but he doesn't open up to me like he used to. He keeps things from me but at the same time he'll tell you the truth. He'll be the first kid to tell you the truth, even if he's gonna get in fucking trouble. But when it comes to talking about his biological dad and that whole family, he made it clear that his mom told him not to talk to me about that or her boyfriend or anything that they got going on over there ever. And which is fine, but that's kind of like, wow, man, that's
a whole part of his life.
That's a whole part of his life that I can't even talk to him about. And it's just it's not about being nosy, but if I'm gonna be a co-parent with somebody. I can't even fucking talk to his mom. I
So you feel like you've been
I,
kind of
I
shut
feel
out?
like I've been completely fucking shut out of all like aspects of their life except for when it comes time for my time to have them for the weekend and for money.
Do you think there's been any remorse
On who? Me?
from her? Do you think there's been any
Fuck no.
remorse?
Fuck no, man. Just backhanded freaking apologies and just
What do you mean by backhanded apologies?
like trying to say shit like fuck I'm sorry but your hands are dirty too and you're not innocent and it's just like I don't know how, you know? It's like even
Pushing off the blame.
always trying to push off the blame and never take accountability for anything, man.
Mm-hmm.
Anything.
What do you wish for your son, and what do you hope he gets from all of this?
What do I wish for my son? I wish for my son to know the absolute 150% truth. I want him to pursue whatever is in his heart, whether it be to, get a cool relationship going with his dad. I 100% encourage that. This process could have been a lot easier on me and him and the rest of my family if we would have all been included on that. That's bullshit. So if you're ever in this situation, make sure that shit fucking happens.
What do you hope other men and women learn from this?
To learn from my mistakes. And I'm not saying he was a mistake. I will never say he was a mistake.
Is that why you agreed to do this?
Yeah. He's my son. And he always fucking will be.
Is there anything you want to say to him in case he watches this in the future?
God, I don't even know if I want him to see this. Just, I want him to know that I love him. Unconditionally. I always will. Ain't nobody gonna take that. I'm always, always, always gonna be here until I die. You ain't going anywhere. And I'm sorry this had to happen.